Elina and Ray had always shared something. Electric, something that went beyond words, deeper than casual affection. From the moment their eyes met again in that quiet apartment, the air between them was thick with something raw and unspoken. It wasn't just about seeing each other after time apart. It was the return of a familiar fire that lived just under their skin, waiting to be sparked again. As they stood near the window, the silence between them was louder than anything outside. Elina's gaze lingered on Ray's lips, while his fingers itched to touch her, to remember the way her body reacted to his presence. The pull between them was undeniable. Every glance, every breath they took brought them closer. When his hand finally brushed her arm, it was like igniting a match. A small, almost innocent contact set off a wave of heat between them. Their kiss wasn't rushed. It was slow and deliberate, like they were relearning each other, savoring every second. Ray's lips moved with care at first, exploring the softness of hers, tasting her breath, holding her face as if she might disappear. But soon the kiss deepened, his grip on her waist tightening, as if he couldn't bear even an inch of space between them. Their bodies leaned in, perfectly aligned, guided by instinct and memory. Ray's hands were gentle but sure, tracing familiar curves with reverence. He didn't need to be told where to touch, he remembered. Elina arched into him, lips parting, a soft moan escaping as his kisses moved down her neck, then back to her mouth, as if he couldn't get enough. She responded with equal hunger, threading her fingers through his hair, pulling him closer, her body silently begging for more. They weren't just lovers reuniting. They were two souls colliding, in a moment of total surrender. Each kiss held a story, a memory, 1,000 silent promises. When his fingers slid under the hem of her dress, it wasn't rushed or desperate. It was slow, teasing, filled with a kind of knowing that only comes when you've loved someone with your whole being. Her skin burned under his touch, but it wasn't just desire. It was the comfort of someone who had touched her heart long before her body. The chemistry between them didn't need words. It was in the way they breathed each other in the pause between kisses where they just looked, really, looked into each other's eyes, seeing more than just the surface, seeing everything. In that moment, their passion wasn't just physical. It was a reminder of who they were when they were together. Something wild, honest, and impossibly magnetic. And they never stopped. They kissed like the world had fallen away, like they were the only two people left in it. The setting was more than just a room. It was a world built just for them. The apartment held a quiet stillness, wrapped in soft shadows and the faint golden glow of a bedside lamp. Outside, the night hummed with life, distant sirens, the muffled beat of music, the occasional splash of a passing car on wet streets. But none of that touched the atmosphere inside. Here, time seemed to slow down. The window stood open just enough for the breeze to sneak in, cool and gentle, making the curtains sway like breath. Moonlight poured through that open window, bathing Elina's skin in silver. Her satin nightdress clung to her like liquid light, and the way it slipped off her shoulder made her look almost unreal, like a painting, soft and untouchable. Ray stood a few steps away, not speaking, only watching, his chest rising and falling a little quicker than normal. The glow from the city lights below flickered against their faces, adding to the quiet suspense. Like the scene was holding its breath, there was something sacred about that moment, as if the world outside didn't exist. The room became their sanctuary, a place where passion had no need to hide. Every surface, the couch, the bed, even the wall near the window, held the potential to witness something intimate. The softness of the cushions, the coolness of the wooden floor, the way the sheets rustled under their weight, all of it added layers to the emotion building between them. When Elina stepped toward Ray, the sound of her bare feet against the floor was the only thing he could hear. She touched his chest lightly, right over his heart, and looked up into his eyes. It wasn't just about the touch, it was where it happened. In this dim-lit apartment, her touch felt more alive, more urgent. And when she kissed him again, it wasn't just her lips on his, it was the entire room folding around them, holding them in place, making sure they didn't lose that moment. The rain began soon after, slow and steady, tapping the glass gently at first and then harder, like the sky itself wanted in on the moment. The sound wrapped around them like a song, rising with every sigh, every gasp they shared. Their silhouettes moved across the room, like shadows dancing in firelight, always connected, always drawn to each other. The bed creaked softly as Ray lowered her onto the mattress, her body sinking into the softness, her hair fanning across the pillow like ink on parchment. Everything in that room was designed by accident but served their love perfectly. The darkness that wrapped them up gave them freedom to explore, to rediscover the lines of each other's bodies without shame or hesitation. The sheets tangled around their legs, the breeze teased their skin, and the rain outside clapped in rhythm with their hearts. Every detail, the lighting, the silence, the warmth, made their love feel bigger than the walls that held it. It was a night carved into memory. What passed between Elina and Ray, that night wasn't just desire. It was something far deeper, woven into the very fabric of who they were. Every kiss they shared, every lingering touch, was layered with emotions too complex to say aloud. It wasn't about lust. It was about everything they had been through. It was about the late-night conversations, the tears, the laughter, the silences that had once broken them and now pulled them closer. As Ray's fingers traced her skin, Elina didn't just feel the warmth of his touch. She felt the weight of his love. It was in the way he held her like she was fragile but wanted. It was in the pause between kisses where he looked into her eyes as if trying to memorize every inch of her soul. Their bodies connected, yes, but it was their hearts that truly tangled. They didn't need to talk. The way her breath hitched when he kissed her neck said more than any word. The way his hand cradled the back of her head, slowly lowering her to the bed, was gentler than any apology ever spoken. This wasn't just about touching skin. It was about finding each other again. Without fear, without hesitation. It was the act of saying, "I still choose you," without ever having to voice it. She responded to him not just because her body ached for him, but because she trusted him. Because when he touched her, she didn't feel small or broken. She felt seen, desired, respected. And as her lips traveled over his chest and her hands roamed his back, it wasn't just pleasure, it was her telling him, "I know you. I still love you." I never stopped. Each time their lips met, it was a new promise. When he kissed her fingers, he was thanking her for staying. When she kissed the scar on his shoulder, she was reminding him she knew his pain. Even their silence was filled with meaning. Lying there, heartbeats in sync, she would tilt her head to rest against his chest, and he would wrap his arm around her like he'd never let go again. They touched with reverence, slowly, as if the closeness itself was holy. Her laugh between kisses, his whispered name against her skin, the way their bodies moved in harmony, it all spoke of a love that had grown from roots buried deep in time. Their passion didn't come from novelty, but from history, from knowing exactly what the other person needed, where to touch not just to ignite, but to comfort, to heal. And in those hours of connection, the world outside ceased to exist. There was no yesterday, no tomorrow. Just two people rediscovering each other one kiss at a time. And by morning, their bodies were exhausted, but their hearts were full. Not because of how many times they kissed, but because of what those kisses meant. Please click subscribe to our channel. We have more stories coming as soon.